Hey guys, welcome back to Crafting with Cami. I come to you today with another mystery envelope challenge. It was Dawn's turn to send it out this month, and she says, "Hello friends, it's time to make Christmas cards. Use the supplies included in this envelope to create a festive set of cards. You may use any stamps, dies, embossing folders, embellishments, and cardstock you want from your stash. Have fun, and I can't wait to see what you create, Dawn." These papers are so fun. We have some plaid. And on the back, we have these little holly berries. We have some Christmas trees or just pine trees. You could definitely use this for like a nature layout or nature cards. And then a red paper with some holly. We got some candy canes and some sprigs on the other side. And then we have some more trees with some stripes. So these are going to be so fun. I can see myself using that on a layout too. I might have to get a pack of these to play with. And then we also got some gems. Look at these. Those are so pretty and sparkly. Here, let me pull them out of this bag so you can get a better look. Look at how sparkly those are. I love them. They're faceted. Thank you, Dawn. I cannot wait to get going on these cards. This is going to be a challenge for me. I don't make a whole lot of cards, so we're going to see if we can come up with something fun. For my first card, I'm using this plaid pattern, and I'm bringing in some green apple. This is a close to my heart color. It doesn't match exact, but I thought it coordinated. So I think we'll use maybe the light side. And I cut this piece down to 5.5 by 8.5. I have a scorer here. Don't ask where this came from. I've had it forever. I have no idea where I got it from. But I am going to score this at 4.25. All right, so that is scored. And then I am going to cut off the top portion of my card. I'm going to leave 2.5 inches here. So I am leaving 3 inches, or I'm removing 3 inches. I'm keeping 2.5. So I am going to measure over 3 inches here and go all the way over to my score line and then run down my score line here. So this piece here is 4.25. I have this embossed piece of white cardstock, and I'll show you where I got that if I can find it. Here we go. It's the embossed brick 3D embossing folder. Isn't that so cool? So it's a 6x6 folder. This is a 6x6 piece of paper. I'm gonna cut it down to 4 inches so I just have a fine green frame going around. And I can maybe use that on a different project. And then we have this at 5.5. So I'm going to cut this to 5.25 long. And this doesn't go that far. Be right back. All right, so this piece is gonna go here. And I'm just using Tombow liquid glue. Oh my goodness. And this is a new bottle and it shows. But the nice thing about this, if we can get this cleaned up a little bit here, it goes on white, but it does dry clear. We have this other end, and I'm just gonna use that without pushing any more out to smear this around. It's already drying on me. Making such a mess. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is gonna go right down here. Okay, so then you're probably wondering, Cami, what's gonna go here? Let me show you. This piece I cut 2.25 by 4, and that's gonna go right on the front here. So we'll just put a little bit of glue. And that will go right here. I have my spotlight on nature dies. And I am using the second to largest, and I'm using the one that has kind of that floral design. And I am going to cut that out and adhere that right on the front here. All right, I cut 4 circles. This is the largest circle, second largest circle, second largest circle, and then I think this is probably like the 4th largest. So these 2 are the same size. What I am thinking is having the, I had some white paper on my cutter, obviously, and it embossed into it. Anyways, so this is Scarlet, a close to my heart color. I'm gonna have that here, and then I'll have a white one on top of that, and I will do some embellishing. And then when you open the card, this one will be here, and then I'll have my greeting or my sentiment there. So I'll stamp that, but I do want to do some inking around the edges first. Instead of inking around this scarlet piece, I'm bringing in my sanding block, and I just cut a circle out of my sander because I had this big piece, and then I cut out a circle, and it has that Velcro on the back, so that works perfect. And I'm just gonna sand around these edges here. I have my scarlet ink, I have my little ink dauber foam thing, and I'll just take off that and go around these edges. And while I have my ink out, I'm going to stamp on here right away. So let's move that out of the way, and I'm getting my stamp from the Peaceful Season. And this Hoping This Season is Bright and Beautiful fits perfect on here. I bet some of these do too. Wishing you all things warm, all things that warm your heart and lift your spirits. Thinking of you with warm feelings and wishing you all the merriest. But I think we're gonna go with that one. So I'm gonna grab my little ink block here, and I haven't used it yet, so I'm gonna rub it on my hand, make sure I get all of those manufacturing powders and whatnot off. And then you can flip this Versamat over to use the foam, or grab some foam to put behind it, but I'm just gonna hope for the best. And just give it a second to soak in. I don't want to push too hard that it smudges and bleeds out those letters. And I think that turned out pretty good. All right, back to building this out. So this piece we'll add here. And just center that. And then this will go right up here and kind of center. So I'm just going to mentally note, you know, right about there and there. It's a little under half. So I'm just gonna go right about there with my glue and mark it with my finger. So for sure, want to stay below there. Oh, I might have gone a little crazy with my glue. Okay, don't do that. Use your pencil or something to mark it. Oh, actually, it doesn't look too bad. Okay. It's the nice part about liquid glue, although this does dry pretty quick, but you can kind of move it around. Let's make sure it didn't get all over. Looks good. Okay, so then this one, you want to make sure that it's hidden behind this so that when your card's closed, you don't see it. And I think right about there would be good, and then make sure it's centered. And do we want our plaid going up and down? Probably. Let's put this on first so this is centered on here. That looks about right. Okay, and then we could even, okay, if this is straight up and down, we could go like this, and we could tack it with a piece of washi. Okay, here's just a little piece of washi tape. We could just tack that there so we know it's centered there. You can't see it, add our glue. Let's see if this actually works. I'm testing it for you guys. And you could do the same. And then we need to remove that. There. Okay, so there's that. And then we could decorate the back of this too, but I'm excited to decorate the front, so let's get started on that. I have brought in the decorative tree dies, and I used this plaid, no, not this one, this stripe one, and this one here, along with the outline tree. So I did the outline tree in the green apple. I did that swirly one in some scarlet, and then I did that striped one in my plaid paper, and it did rip, so I need to do some surgery when I adhere that down. As you can see, this tree is too big for this one, so we do just need to cut around that. So that shouldn't be too difficult. I say that now, but we'll see how this goes. Very careful not to cut into that scarlet piece. There we go. Okay, so what I am picturing is this one going back here. Ooh, that might need green behind it too. I didn't think it would, but now I'm thinking maybe it does. Or maybe some scarlet. What would scarlet look behind? I don't have a piece of scarlet close. And then having this one kind of in front of it. I used my Barely art glue to get the fine pieces on these, just because it does have that fine tip applicator. So now, and I do like that with the scarlet better. So those are gonna go right there. So I can go ahead and use this Tombow glue again. And try not to squirt it out so fast because I learned my lesson last time. So this one will go right about here. I'm bringing in some of my clear gems from my stash, just since I am going to be making a couple more cards, and I'll save the ones from Dawn for those. I lost the sticky on one though. There we go. So I'll do 3 right there, and then I'll do a couple on the inside here. All right. There's one card done. I got my card bases for the second card. So this one is at 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, scored at 5 1/2. And then this one is 3 by 8, scored at 4. So we can go ahead and get those folded on those score lines. I'm sure you guys have seen this numerous times, this style card, but this one just slides right in here, and then it's a fun fold going this direction. So none of these cards were my idea. I've seen them around. I'm sure you have too. But let's go ahead and continue with these. So I'm using that pattern paper from Dawn. This one I cut 2 1/4 by 4, and this one is 4 by 2 3/4. So this one is gonna go here, and then this one is going to go here. So then this piece gets centered in here, facing that direction. Okay, just like so. And about there is center. Make sure this closes properly. That looks good. Let's make sure that's pressed down then. All right. And then I didn't think this part through. I cut some vellum. This is the Graceful Greenery vellum from Stampin' Up! And I cut it 2 inches by 2 inches. And what I was planning on doing was cutting it in at a diagonal. So I just line up the corners here with my blade and here, cut down. So now I have 2 pieces, 2 triangles. And that I wanted right here to act as a little closure piece for my inside card. The only thing I did not think about was my adhesive will show. So I could do 3 dots and then add like gems over them to make it look like they were held down. Let's start with that and see if that's sturdy enough. So let's just put a dot here, here, and oh my gosh, that's a big dot. Let's wipe that off. Here, we'll just scoop that back up. Okay. All right. It does dry clear, but you'll still see it. Okay. It's not very noticeable, honestly. Maybe down here. Okay, that dries so fast and it's so sticky. This is the embossing folder Timber, and I did that in white as well. So I am planning on putting that here, and then I will be using this from, oh my goodness, I have so many things out here. This is the Peaceful Season, and it comes with this larger one and a smaller one. So this will be for my sentiment then. All right, I'm going to stamp the sentiment. So this is, again, from the Peaceful Season, and I'm going to do this wishing you all the things that warm your heart and lift your spirits. It's not going to match perfectly, but I am going to use pine. And I'm just going to rub that on my hand again. And you could definitely do this at an angle, but I am going to keep it straight so that it fits. Actually, it would fit at an angle too. Which way do I want it? You guys have a preference? Can you even see it? Is it in the camera? So it could either go this way or it could go this way. I think for this one, I'll keep it this direction, but this would be super cool if you did do ribbon going around. So for this one, I'm going to keep it straight, and then maybe on the next one, I'll do that ribbon. There we go. And while I have my ink out, I'm going to do the stamping inside my card. And I probably should have done this before I glued it down, but better late than never. These narrow ones, if you lay them down first and then pick them up, they usually go on your block pretty straight. So then this one says, "Love from our home to yours." And since we're stamping directly on, let's make sure our block is nice and clean. And I'm going to stamp this towards the top so that you can write your message and sign it down at the bottom. And I think I need a little more ink on yours. Okay. Centering is not the easiest when it's white on white. And I'm not going to push down too terribly hard, but I am going to give it a second to soak in. There we go. Before I adhere this down, I have some sprigs that I cut out from the Golden Greenery. They were Ah, where did I put them now? Hold on. These sprigs here. And they are fairly large. I have some in my stash there that are a little bit smaller, but I thought these were nice, and I cut those out of glitter paper from my stash. So I thought that these could come out from behind my little sentiment here. And I can trim them down a little bit so that there's not so much bulk. I like the accent of the glitter, but it's kind of monochromatic in a way. It kind of represents the green back there. Now keep in mind that this one is going to lift up, so anything that hangs off I can't put glue on. What if I did like that? I am trimming them just a little bit shorter so they tuck nicer behind. And then, oh, I just throw things around. I don't want glue up there. Good thing that wasn't coming out. Okay, so I'm just adding it to the bottom here. And that'll go right about there. And then same with this one, just a little glue at the bottom, or a lot of glue if it decides to come out fast. Okay, I'm liking that. And then these ones kind of down here more, and I can trim a little bit off of those too. Don't want it sticking out too far because if I put this in an envelope, I don't want it to catch. And then I'm going to grab out some dimensionals. These are called Stampin' Dimensionals, and they're these hexagons that fit perfectly together. I love these. And you can use the frame that it comes with too. So I'm just going to add a few of these on the back of my sentiment here. And that is going to pop up right in the center here. So now when we open up the card, okay, so careful when you put these, hang these off the edge. It won't open all the way, but it is still nice. And then we have our little closure in the front to hold that shut. There's card number 2. Wait, we need gems. We need glitter. I am going to pull in some of the gems from Dawn, and we'll go ahead and do maybe one there, one up here, and maybe one over here. And then let's do one on the inside too. There. And then we can write our little message and sign it right there. There's card number 2. Card number 3, I'm going to use this brown paper. I love this. It is so pretty. And I cut my card base down to 5.5 by 11. I scored it at 3.5 and at 7.5. So now we have a trifold card. I wanted to use this from the Peaceful Season, this thin cut, and then I stamped Wishing You and Yours. So I want that to go on the front, maybe with some ribbon. But I'm thinking of adding a little detail and having it be a triangle on the front. So I would cut this in half, which is 2 3/4. So I am just going to make a little mark here, 2 3/4. And I am just making a tiny little tick there. Then I am bringing in my Fiskars trimmer. And here we'll go from that little tick mark I made there down to the crease we made. Okay, and then we'll cut that off. And then we'll do the same on this end. And you could even leave it like that too. That would be a cute little fold. But we'll continue with the triangle. I repeated that corner cut there. So now we have a trifold card that looks like this. This piece goes in the center, so I cut that at 5 1/4 by 3 3/4. So that will go right in here. It'll look like this. And I'm leaving just about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So just carefully placing that. Okay, and then for these triangular pieces, so the piece of paper from Dawn, I cut into 2 triangles. That this one is 5 inches long, and then these 2 are 4 inches long. So however you want to cut that, I struggled hard to cut it. So as you can see, I even did surgery on it. It was not easy. So however you find easiest to cut that, those are the measurements. And I'm leaving just a little white border going around. So now when you close the card, this is what you have. And we are going to put this here, and I have some ribbon. This is Stampin' Up's, what do they call it? It's satin ribbon. It's the cobbler and gold trim. For the length, I'm just gonna go around here, and we'll cut it about there. I overlapped my ribbon about, I don't know, almost 1 inch probably. And then I glued that, so now I'm waiting for that to dry. So I am going to put a piece on the inside here. All right, so here we have that, and that is from my embossing machine. So I don't know why it's doing that, but here's what it looks like. And then we can just pull this right off. Open our card, and then I stamped A Season of Wonder and Happiness from, again, that Peaceful Seasons, and I used the larger banner piece that is still on my machine right here. And I did pop that up on dimensionals as well. I didn't add a whole lot of embellishing to this one. I kept it fairly simple except for the cutting. And I could even tack that ribbon so that that's more centered. I might do that, go tack the ribbon onto the back of this one. So add just a little bit of adhesive. I'll use my precision tip glue here. Just right along here. And kind of center that, and I just made sure that this was straight across from it, so there we go. We'll let that dry. I added some of Dawn's gems right there, added the other 2 inside. You could even add more pattern paper on this side. I didn't have any more from Dawn, and I'm okay with it just being a little more simple. Let's try, and then to do this, it's easiest if you just kind of fold it up a little bit get it started, and voila. And then it kind of pulls it tight too. Here's all 3 of those cards. And this one opens up like this with a dog hair inside. And then you just go back into the closure like that. Let me know in the comments which one's your favorite. Thank you, Dawn, for the mystery envelope. And I will have the playlist to the Inspiration Collaboration Design Team linked down below. So be sure to check out their videos and see how they used these same products. Any products that are still available that I used today are linked in the description box below. Until next time, live a life worth scrapping.